Thank you. Well, welcome everybody. I'm Helen Lawton-Smith. I'm the Director for the Centre for Innovation Management Research. And also with us is Marion Friends, and she's the Deputy Director. And Thanos, he's Associate Director. Odile is the Alumni Officer in charge of dealing with our previous students, whether they be undergraduates, masters, or PhD students. So we are an international body. We have partners in the States, in Sweden, in Spain, in Finland, and now it looks like we're developing a partnership with Brazil. And so it's very pleasing to have this communication, looking at different contexts about how innovation is understood and the different stakeholders that are getting involved with our research and our outreach on innovation. So many of us are engaged with all sorts of policy communities, as well as entrepreneurs and consultants and across the whole academic ecosystem. So I'm delighted that we're developing this, and I'm very pleased that Filipe, one of Matthew and I, my PhD students, they're continuing the tradition of Birkbeck of involving PhD students in our activities, including Thanos, who's been with us a while now. So it's great. So I'm going to hand over to Filipe, who will explain more about the event. But before I do that, I want to thank Gabby for the brilliant organization. We don't know where we would be without you. So thank you. And thank you everybody for attending this event.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here today, and then I'm grateful for the opportunity to share the discussion, and then especially when it connects with Brazil. So I'm very pleased that this is happening. I want to welcome you today for the CIMR debate on deep tech solutions for global challenges. This is the title of today's engagement conversation. As Helen said, my name is Filipe Martins Gomes. I'm a PhD researcher. I've been a part-time PhD researcher. I have been working with Helen and Mutu for a long time in this cycle for 2 years, pushing through my PhD. And not just as a PhD student. Well, I'm not just a PhD student, but also a professional. I work in the industry. I partially work in a startup, an AI startup, very related to the thematic that we're going to be discussing today. And then I also have been engaging with Ronaldo and then Manu since end of last year, and have been trying to find ways to collaborate, especially with the efforts that Ronaldo has started around bringing research to the academia, building relationships with these, and then we'll be able to go deeper into this subject through his presentation. Just as a context, is very timely. I think everybody's hearing these kind of buzzword deep tech everywhere, from government, from industry. Everybody's looking into these now, into the policy, but then also in the industry side. So we live in this time where the convergence of science, technology, and entrepreneurship is not only transforming industries, but also is shaping the future, where we're looking, where the governments are pushing their resources, and then how they are connecting to social impact. So the deep tech technologies such as nanotech or biotech and even AI offer these unprecedented potential to address some of the global challenges that we are facing. So today we hear from these brilliant people. So Ronaldo and Manu will present their initiatives and things that they're working, putting so much effort, not just in Brazil, but connecting US, Brazil, UK, and then other places. And then I think the matching with CIMR is kind of perfect. As Helen explained, this is a network of academics and then people that are looking into research in this global atmosphere and a global environment. So it's really nice to see this overlap. And then a special thank you for Professor Helen, and then as the director of the center for welcoming and then giving us this opportunity to discuss this today. not just the introductions of the thematic, but moving now to actually introducing you the speakers. I want to introduce you, Ronaldo Pedro. It's a pleasure to introduce you, Ronaldo. Ronaldo is a pioneer voice in the deep tech entrepreneurship in Brazil. He's a professor of innovation and entrepreneurship in nanotechnology and biotechnology at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. Dr. Pedro or Ronaldo, as we now getting closer, is also the founder and principal investigator of both NanoBusiness and then also the ConvergeLab venture builder that's very focused on deep techs, where he leads projects in this intersection of nanotech, biotech, and then also looking into how AI plays overlap or overall role in connecting the impact of the deep tech businesses and research. With over 20 years of experience in the research as an entrepreneur and then building ecosystem, he's also a member of the EPSRC peer review college here in the UK, a review of the International Science and Partnership Fund, and then also a curator of the Real Tomorrow. This also to say that Ronaldo is already very well connected to the UK. I think that's an opportunity for us to strengthen his connection and the connection of his initiatives also with things that we are interested to do. I would take this chance also to already introduce Malu and then let them go through the flow. Malu is a talent, a global talent. She's our second speaker today. Malu is from Brazil. She's one of the most dynamic young voices in STEAM communication and innovation policy in Brazil. She's a project specialist at NanoBusiness, has been working with Ronaldo very closely in the last few months. And Gates Foundation Integrate Sciences Scholar. And then I have to read this, Malu. Claremont McKin College in California, where she studies economics and biotechnology. Originally from a public school in Brazil, Malu has become a leading science communicator, lots of followers in social media, dedicated to making complex science topics accessible for engaging, in particular the youth, and then understanding how this connects, how it ideas and then becomes research, and then some of these research become businesses, and then bridging these together. She's also worked in the with the UNESCO Red Quarter as a public policy consultant, where she focused on societal impacts and science and innovation. Malu, after a period in Brazil, she's coming to spend some time in France, studying as part of her graduation. And I already invite her to come and visit us here in the UK, and then she can potentially come for one of our meetings in person, and then we'll be able to meet her in face-to-face as well. So no further ado of introductions. I will pass now for Ronaldo and Malu so they can present what they're working on and then how we can connect. And then, well, sorry, just to highlight the key objective of today is really for us to identify ways to collaborate. We have been talking about building those bridges and then building those ways of collaboration among those research and potential projects. And then that's where ConvergeLab really comes to place. Ronaldo, Malu, floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much for the introduction, Filipe, and thanks again for all of you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be talking to you about a subject that we're so passionate about, and to see that you're all collaborating to make science more inclusive and bring innovation to the public. Well, I'm going to be translating what Ronaldo will say because he's going to speak in Portuguese, and then quickly I'll translate everything for you so that we don't have any language barriers here. So I'm going to give the floor to Ronaldo to start, and we'll work in this dynamic until my presentation.
Bom, boa tarde. Eu quero agradecer muito ao Filipe pelo entusiasmo e o convite de organizar esse evento, sobretudo a professora Helen, a professora Butu e toda a equipe do CIMR. Eu agradeço bastante. Quero também pedir desculpa pela minha limitação no idioma inglês. A gente estava pensando em optar no uso de uma inteligência artificial para facilitar o processo, mas a gente optou por uma inteligência humana, que é a Malu, né, que vai poder colaborar com a gente.
So I would like to thank Professor Helen, Filipe, and Gabriela, and everyone else who's involved and who has contributed for us to be here today presenting this event. I would like also to take the opportunity to apologize for my limitations in English. It's a pleasure to be talking to such an special organization, and thank you all again for the floor. We'll be talking a little bit about deep techs. That is something that we've been working, me, Malu, and also Filipe for a while. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Vamos projetar então?
So we're going to start presenting. So let me know if you all can see. Yeah.
Ok. Então, pode próximo slide. Bom, o Filipe pediu para mim fazer um resumo da minha história, né, da minha vida acadêmica e industrial. Eu tenho formação em mestrado, doutorado em engenharia de produção pela Pontifícia Universidade Católica do Rio de Janeiro, bacharelado em administração de empresa pela mesma instituição. Eu sou um especialista há mais de 20 anos, para não dizer 30 anos, em difração de raio-x, que é uma técnica bastante acadêmica, deu prêmio Nobel ao longo dos anos, principalmente na Inglaterra.
So my background includes PhD and a master's degree in industrial engineering, as well as an undergraduate degree in business administration from PUC-Rio. From the start of my career, I chose to apply academic research to real challenges in the market and startups, the ones that I founded, and always seeking to integrate theory and practice.
Então, vou falar um pouquinho da minha jornada no próximo slide, mas eu tenho um perfil, talvez não muito comum, que é o perfil que, desde a graduação, mestrado, doutorado, eu sempre busquei fazer meu estudo teórico aplicado a alguma coisa do mercado ou, particularmente, das empresas que eu criei, empresas startups ao longo do tempo.
After several years of experience with founding technology-based startups, in 2017, I founded one of my first ones, that is NanoBusiness, that we'll talk about. That is a spin-off of PUC-Rio's Chemical and Material Engineering Department. The conception of this startup was only possible thanks to the opportunity to share laboratories offered by this university, which is fundamental for reducing the risks and the trajectory of deep tech companies. A topic we'll be discussing in this event. I also have a lot of experience in the X-ray diffraction industry. That is also a project we're working within our startups.
Então, depois de muitas empresas criadas, algumas empresas criadas de sucesso e de insucesso também, eu criei em 2007 a NanoBusiness, uma spin-off do Departamento de Engenharia de Materiais e Química na Tecnologia, um departamento que eu era também coordenador do laboratório. Além de ser um funcionário coordenador do laboratório, eu também me deram a permissão de criar a empresa dentro do próprio laboratório. A gente vai falar muito dessa particularidade para a Deep Tech. A PUC foi muito favorável a essa iniciativa, dado que ela compartilhou o laboratório. Isso é bastante importante, esse item, compartilhamento do laboratório, é fundamental para que uma jornada de tech seja ocorra com sucesso.
When I founded NanoBusiness, that is a spin-off company from the Department of Chemical and Material Engineering at PUC-Rio, one of the first things that really helped me to develop this business was the laboratory sharing, and this is something really special that we'll be talking about on how startups and venture builders can collaborate with universities and the startups in sharing laboratories, sharing equipment, and making sure that this process is viable for both parties.
Então, desde 2013, reparem que eu já tinha uma rota de pesquisa industrial e empreendedora antes, então, a partir de 2013, passei a ser professor da Universidade Federal do Rio de Janeiro, é a universidade mais antiga do Brasil, hoje mais de 70 mil alunos de graduação, mestrado e doutorado. E também participo até hoje, sou membro do Comitê de Inovação da Reitoria da UFRJ, com o objetivo de transformar uma universidade centenária numa universidade empreendedora.
So since October 2013, I became a professor of innovation and entrepreneurship in biotechnology and nanotechnology at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. That is the oldest federal institution in our country, and also one of the biggest ones with almost 70,000 students, undergraduate and postgraduate. I also became a member of the innovation committee of the Federal University of Rio, that is now becoming an entrepreneur university. So my goal here is to transform this centenarial institution into a place where innovation can flow and we can build more technology.
O esforço de tornar as universidades públicas brasileiras uma universidade empreendedora passou a ser facilitada pelo Marco Legal da Ciência e Inovação e também acelerado pelo Covid-19. Então, hoje, muitos professores como eu, pesquisadores, que têm vínculo com a universidade pública no Brasil, passam a ter a iniciativa de empreender também, sobretudo em Deep Tech. Nesse caso, a partir de 2018, eu passei a ser não só o fundador da empresa, da NanoBusiness, mas também um pesquisador principal, onde começa a construir o ConvergeLab.
This transformation has advanced in Brazil, especially since COVID-19 and the approval of the legal framework for science and innovation, which it now allows and encourages entrepreneur researchers and professors to create their own companies. In this context, and with the aim of contributing even more to the ecosystem, I began to design ConvergeLab and to apply this knowledge that I had from the business culture into the university to transform it into an entrepreneurial university.
Então, ao longo do tempo, passo a ter apoio do Departamento de Internalização do Governo Britânico, o Hello Tomorrow, que é uma organização especializada em Deep Tech, e a rede do Ministério da Ciência e Tecnologia, uma rede robusta no Brasil, de laboratórios espalhados, inclusive aceleradores de partículas, Synchrotron, fazem parte desse processo.
Throughout time, we got the support of the Department of Business and Trade from the UK, Hello Tomorrow with a couple of prizes awarded. Also the Ministry of Science and Technology from Brazil to work on those initiatives.
Bom, esse slide mostra a minha trajetória, né? A minha trajetória começa aos 13 anos de idade, é muito comum no Brasil, em países desenvolvidos, em desenvolvimento, que jovens, adolescentes passam a trabalhar muito cedo, né? Então, eu comecei a trabalhar muito cedo, por uma questão de empreendedorismo baseado em necessidade, e ao longo do tempo fui adquirindo musculatura e postura empreendedora em instituições de pesquisa depois de 18 anos. Depois de 28 anos, passei a ter outro comportamento empreendedor, gerador de empresas startups de base tecnológica, e a partir dos 40 anos, eu passei a me dedicar mais às empresas de tech. A única coisa comum disso tudo é que, desde pequeno, acho que a parte que mais ajudou a lapidar o meu perfil é esse foco em resolver problemas, esse foco em gostar de resolver desafios, gostar de resolver necessidades. Não importa a abordagem que você está utilizando. Isso foi muito importante para a minha formação, mas, sobretudo, para a minha formação de liderança. Estou falando demais.
So my career has ranged from personal needs to global challenges. I was an entrepreneur out of necessity from the age of 13 to the age of 16, which is very common in underdeveloped or developing countries like Brazil. And later I worked as an entrepreneur and innovator at CSN R&D Center, which I was lucky enough to work with a master's and doctoral graduates and institutions from the UK, USA, and Europe. Between the ages of 28 and 40, I became a technology-based entrepreneur, creating startups and leading laboratories in the chemistry and material departments at PUC Rio. And currently, I dedicate myself to the deep tech ecosystem as an entrepreneur, mentor, and teacher, with the aim of transforming science into economic and social impact. The search for solutions to complex needs and problems since childhood has shaped who I am today and motivates me to inspire multidisciplinary professionals to collaborate as a team to develop solutions to solve major challenges. and my leadership approach is based on serving everyone for a purpose of common interest.
Enfim, nós estamos falando de desafios, necessidades. Ao longo do tempo, o ser humano passa por ciclos de necessidades e desafios, como o ConvergeLab, que mapeia muito bem. E nesse momento, né, a humanidade está vivendo com desafios significativos, que eu chamo de demanda inevitável. Essas demandas inevitáveis tem uma abordagem para você resolver, e essa abordagem é Deep Tech, soluções baseadas em ciência, soluções baseadas em, por exemplo, temas, áreas transversais que impactam qualquer setor industrial. Por exemplo, nanotecnologia, biotecnologia, inteligência artificial responsável, todas elas são transversais e, quando elas se convergem, elas são abordagens robustas para mitigar problemas de demandas globais.
So we live in a scenario characterized by an unavoidable challenge that is extreme weather events, scarcity of natural resources, loss of biodiversity, and the need for sustainable food and energy production, the increase of chronic disease, and among others. To tackle these issues, deep tech startups are emerging, adopting approaches based, for example, on combining areas such as nanotechnology, biotechnology, and responsible artificial intelligence. It's worth pointing out that these three areas are cross-cutting and have a direct impact on all industry sectors, being fundamental to create opportunities for radical innovations and in a new technical and economic paradigm.
Ok. Bom, para resolver esses grandes desafios globais, né, existem, vocês conhecem muito bem, as missões, e existe uma coisa em comum, por exemplo, entre países, que é estabelecer essas missões. A gente está colocando aqui como exemplo as missões estabelecidas pelo governo britânico e as missões estabelecidas pelo governo brasileiro. Reparem que são, muitos aspectos, missões similares, né? Que podem utilizar a convergência, da combinação, da colaboração entre países para que possam ser resolvidos.
In an international context, both Brazil and UK are being on major missions to tackle strategic challenges. And as you can see, the challenges are pretty similar and the missions are pretty similar. In the UK, we have the Grand Challenge, so net zero, health and healthy living, leadership in artificial intelligence and cybersecurity, advanced materials and food securities are some of the priorities of the UK. And Brazil, it's pretty much the same. So we work with sustainable and digital agribusiness, resilient health, sustainable cities, digital transformation, bioeconomy, and sovereignty and defense.
Então, são missões como essa que a gente consegue a colaboração das entidades, das universidades, da indústria, mas, sobretudo, jovens como a Malu, o Filipe, nossos colaboradores aqui no NanoBusiness, uma equipe multidisciplinar formada por físicos, químicos. Através dessa perspectiva de missão e desafio que a gente consegue influenciar pessoas altamente qualificadas no UK, no Brasil e no mundo para resolver problemas comuns, desafios comuns.
So it's throughout those missions that we're able to connect people who have similar interests but work in different areas such as physics and biotechnology, for example, and influence them to work towards a better world and to solutions that will shape the future. This is what we see here at NanoBusiness. This is what we see with talents migrating from abroad to Brazil, for example, as Malu, Filipe, and people who go from Brazil to all over the world here.
Bom, entrando no cenário brasileiro, o Brasil ele é reconhecido pelo nível de publicação científica, né? A gente percebe a evolução da publicação científica brasileira, particularmente no setor de agronegócios e biotecnologia. Nós somos, de certa forma, uma referência, ou pelo menos contribuímos bastante com isso. Contudo...
So Brazil has a pretty noticeable reputation in scientific research, especially in the agrarian sciences. And medical sciences. We're ranked the 14th in the world in terms of scientific production.
Yes, próximo. Contudo,
However,
existe uma dificuldade de transformar essa competência científica em índices, indicadores de inovação tecnológica. Particularmente pós-Covid e, sobretudo, com o marco legal da ciência e tecnologia, o relatório da Unesco demonstra que o Brasil começa a ter indicadores de esforços interessantes no aspecto da inovação.
however, we're still ranked pretty low, around the 5th position in the innovation ranking worldwide. So it shows a lack in communication between the academia and the private sector into transforming all of this research that is being produced into innovation to the country. Luckily, according to UNESCO report, Brazil has made consistent progress in innovation indicators, so patents and university company collaboration with public universities playing a big role in leading all of them.
Esse é o diagnóstico hoje do Brasil para esse segmento chamado Deep Tech, né? São valores interessantes, somente pós-Covid e marco legal. Nós temos um número de cerca de 900 empresas de techs mapeadas, que estão em TRL 3 e 6. Tem um percentual significativo dessas empresas na área de, como eu disse, na área de agronegócios e biotecnologia, dentro de um mercado significativo e bilionário, né, em torno de 714 bilhões no mercado global. Lembrando que qualquer empresa Deep Tech, não importa de onde ela nasceu, ela tem que olhar para o mercado global. Ela não é suficiente sendo regional ou local. Ela tem que já nascer pensando nesse mercado global.
So this is the current scenario of Brazil and the deep tech scenario in Brazil. It is an emerging ecosystem with 875 deep techs mapped today. We have an expectancy for it to increase pretty much in recent days. We have a predominancy of companies in TRL 3 to 6, especially in the agribusiness industry. That is our greatest focus in research. We still have a strong dependence on public funding, so around 70%, and it's limited also to the southwest of Brazil. And luckily, this is a field that is growing pretty fast. They experience a significant growth globally, with projections estimating a market size of $714.6 billion by 2031. And it's important to notice that deep techs is a market that needs to serve the global aspect and not only regional aspect. The technology can be implemented anywhere in the world and it can be adapted really quickly. So that's why it's so scalable, and that's why the world is looking at it right now.
Bom, com isso, há uma necessidade no ecossistema brasileiro, e provavelmente no ecossistema mundial, de mecanismos para contribuir com essas empresas de techs. Então, um mecanismo que a gente começou a criar é a Venture Builder ConvergeLab. É uma iniciativa que conecta não só com a UFRJ, mas com qualquer outra universidade brasileira ou indústria brasileira, e também conecta com qualquer universidade no mundo e conecta com qualquer indústria também no mundo.
And because of this, we see the need of companies who support those researchers and who support the market into investing into research too, because it can be a pretty complicated market for you to get involved. And that's why we started working on ConvergeLab, that is to de-risk the tech markets and to offer support to those researchers. We work with combination, so bringing up different areas for being studies to collab and to impact a problem, to solve a problem, a global problem. The convergence of the market and the public and private scenario with the universities and giving guidance to the researchers, and to also help them grow exponentially, not only in Brazil as in the world. We have a lot of collaborations, not only with university, the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, but also other universities around São Paulo and Brazil, and we plan on extending this also globally because deep tech is global.
Bom, então a intenção aqui é compilar, né, pegar essa trajetória do Ronaldo e sua equipe e transferir isso para uma organização, um instituto, né, uma organização privada que conecta com todo mundo, que é o ConvergeLab, né? Esse que é o objetivo aqui, um foco em atender demandas de empresas de tech, mitigar risco dessas empresas de tech em indústrias altamente reguladas, como saúde e agrobusiness, por exemplo, e alimentos. Então, esse que é o princípio, e a nossa missão tem aí o objetivo de, enfim, muito parecido com o que a gente está vendo no relatório ali do Fórum Mundial, que fiquei muito entusiasmado em saber que ele basicamente valida o que é as nossas intenções, a nossa missão.
So that's our goal here, to work as a bridge between academia and the market. ConvergeLab is basically a conversion of my own trajectory as a person, as a professor, and just from seeing all the problems that I saw in the university and trying to solve them. We operate in highly regulated markets, so as the pharmaceuticals and agrochemicals one. And our institutional mission is to actually transform science into global impact and increase the technological maturity and internationalization of those researchers and those startups.
Você deve estar se perguntando como que a gente pretende fazer isso, né? Ao longo de 17 anos, a gente conseguiu ter uma rede de laboratórios no Brasil e fora do Brasil acreditado, né? Acreditado que atende requisitos regulatórios para a indústria farmacêutica e agroquímica, por exemplo. A ideia é usar essa infraestrutura, a capacidade ociosa desses laboratórios, não só para atender demandas que a gente já atende mais 100 empresas no Brasil e fora do Brasil, mas também para atender essas empresas de tech. Esse talvez seja o nosso maior diferencial. E por isso que o primeiro ponto é exatamente a gente desenvolver deep techs ou produtos deep techs baseado no design centrado no requisito do agente regulador.
So you're probably asking yourself, how do we do that? We have 6 pillars that we work with, and the first one is the designer-centered and on the requirements of regulatory agents. This is the most important part, because if you're not aligned with those regulations that can change country to country or product to product, you can develop a really amazing product and get into the final stage and it not be approved for the use of the population.
E além disso, a gente pretende oferecer o que é o FTO, né? Quer dizer, liberdade operacional estendida, né? Que não só no aspecto de propriedade intelectual, mas liberdade operacional no aspecto de nicho, inclusive regulatório.
We also need to analyze the FTO, so then we're not working with a product who has a patent or protection over intellectual property.
Queremos oferecer novamente o Open Lab, né, que é a estrutura que a gente já possui, mais a nossa rede de laboratórios que nós qualificamos, e também a rede CISDAM.
The Open Lab policy is also one of the most important, so that we can give researchers access and support for them to create the product. We have our lab from NanoBusiness that is a big partner of us, and also some 36 labs spread all over Brazil that we can have access to, and we can also regulate.
Esse conjunto de atividades, na verdade, tem como objetivo reduzir o risco do investidor. E o primeiro investidor é o pesquisador empreendedor. O tempo que ele se ocupa para se dedicar a resolver problemas globais é de alto risco. Então, o primeiro investidor, sem dúvida, é o pesquisador. E, naturalmente, se a gente resolve o risco desse empreendedor pesquisador, a gente naturalmente vai estar reduzindo o risco do investidor privado.
So all of those pillars were thought to reduce the risk of both the researcher and the investor. The first investor is actually the research, who spends the most time developing all the research, who puts all those academic time into developing a product and to make sure that they will be able to actually implement this in the market and not just waste their time and have support and build connections that will allow them to do so.
Bom, estamos acabando. Então, ao longo do tempo, nós temos esses projetos, né? O projeto número 1, a Malu vai fazer uma apresentação mais detalhada, é o Polymorph AD, deriva de um histórico de mais de 17 anos, sobretudo na formação de banco de dados. Todos esses projetos têm sinergia entre si, então existe uma sinergia fundamental entre eles. O segundo, perdão.
So we're going to also present some of our pipeline here for you all to have an idea of what a deep tech is, what kind of projects we work with, and what characterize as a deep tech and what doesn't. The first one is one of our oldest ones, that it's Polymorph ID. It got awarded the prize of Hello Tomorrow for Deep Tech Pioneers.
Bom, essa plataforma Polymorph AD favorece o segundo projeto e tem como objetivo, inclusive tem dado prêmio Nobel recentemente, de uso de inteligência artificial para acelerar o desenvolvimento de medicamentos e novos agroquímicos de baixo impacto ambiental.
So Polymorph ID also contributes with our second project, that is in silico AI, that works in an area that was awarded actually a Nobel Prize recently. That is the discovery of medicines and agrochemicals based on data of advanced material and co-crystals, and using AI to discover those new materials to mitigate the challenges of AI and to also make technology more sustainable.
O último projeto, muito se fala na inteligência artificial. A inteligência artificial tem uma externalidade negativa, que é o alto consumo de energia, portanto, impacto ambiental, alto consumo de materiais estratégicos, portanto, problemas ambientais e geopolíticos. E o que a gente busca aqui é também acelerar o desenvolvimento de materiais para mitigar esses problemas da IA, consumo de energia e de uso de materiais estratégicos.
And the last one is also focused more on the engineering industry, that is crystal structure prediction. So it's quite the similar process as in silico AI, but in silico is more for the medication, agrochemicals, and in silico it's for the engineering and the building of systems and infrastructure for AI. So Polymorph ID is one that we chose to explain what's the whole history behind the foundation of a deep tech, and to give an example of what characterizes as a deep tech or not. I'm going to be presenting this one because I'm also in charge of this project. So this is how a breakthrough in crystallography becomes a deep tech startup. So from research to real world, what was the problem that they had and what was the solution? So Polymorph ID is one of ConvergeLab's clients. That is a science-based deep tech startup, and they had a proprietary AI technology that they were developing to match database that they constructed from 17 years of work in crystallography. This database was built in partnership with NanoBusiness, so that's why they had all of this. However, they didn't know how to create a business, and the support to do so was pretty complex and kind of rare here in Brazil, since it's such a new type of business. They did have direct applications, especially in the pharmaceutical and agrochemical industry, because polymorphism, as I'm going to explain, can be pretty dangerous. And also a global potential, because it's an area that is highly regulated, and requires advanced crystallography and characterization. So what's the problem with polymorphism? So in drug development, one molecule can take multiple crystalline forms. That it's what we call polymorphs. So these forms, they can make the medicine better, or they can also change the properties so that it becomes toxic or less soluble. The absorption is all wrong. So you need to check this pretty constantly, so then you make sure that you're not putting a product in the market that is actually dangerous. We have a really notorious case that is the AIDS medication that passed all the clinical trials but became lethal due to an undetected polymorph, and those polymorphs can urge from difference in temperature and transportation, or differences in creating the medicine. So you can have everything right in the beginning of the process, but then when it gets to your client, you basically delivered a different drug. So despite its importance, polymorph screening is slow. It's manual and prone to human error, since the scientists need to take up a paper research, find the shape of the polymorph and all the data, and basically try to match manually to see if it's a new polymorph, if it's the same substance, and it can be pretty slow. And that was the idea with Polymorph ID, to solve this, to use AI to make it faster, smarter, and have more accurate data. So that's why Polymorph ID characterizes as a defect, because it's not only any research, it's research that is applied to a global problem, in this case, the health industry, the food industry. And it has scientific applications in the real world. So how they decided to do this was to take all this smart data that they collected throughout the 17 years of NanoBusiness, that is the company that they partner with, and create this AI system to make this data match more accurate and faster. They also did a partnership with other laboratories through ConvergeLab, since we had this network of more than 32 laboratories mapped in Brazil. They were using our network to make it easier for companies to reach out and send the products, and make this time for transportation quicker, since some companies are in the north of Brazil, and most of the laboratories who have the DRX machines are in the south. So basically, what they had was a robust scientific foundation of crystallography and polymorph detection. That is the scientific part. They had the database of more than 4,000 polymorphs, which is pretty impressive, because globally, if we analyze only the polymorphs that are for the pharmaceutical industry, the largest one has 1,000. So it's a pretty big increase, and a proof of concept tested in academia that was going to fix a global problem, and that was something that was urgent for us to work on. So the next steps that we could help as a venture builder, that is what we do, is expand our laboratory networks, improve the database, so then it matches. We make sure that everything is accurate and we're not inputting any data that is repeated. Regulatory strategy, so then it can actually be implemented and safe, not only in Brazil, but abroad. The legal structuring, strategic roadmap, and also to make this global, since we were talking about previously that defects need to be globally, because it's a problem that is not only local, it's something that they can solve anywhere in the world. So this is what we did after working in Brazil and mapping all the labs that we could work with in Brazil. We also mapped all the labs that could collaborate with us in the United States, in the UK, all over Europe and Asia. Those red ones are the ones who have the equipment that we need to analyze polymorphism, and that is more concentrated here. And we also have some spread around. And the idea is to take innovations like this that were developed by researchers that were thought about for so long and actually put in practice so that it can save lives, it can improve our medicines, it can improve the quality of our food and impact the world.
Ok, então chegamos ao fim, mas eu gostaria de estimular os participantes a pensar como podemos colaborar, pelo menos de uma forma piloto, uma fase inicial. E eu estou dando uma sugestão de, por exemplo, uma perspectiva de estabelecer um acordo bilateral de pesquisadores visitantes, supervisão, por exemplo, supervisão de alunos como a Malu, como o Filipe, enfim, como outros integrantes aqui da própria NanoBusiness e do ConvergeLab, um curso de mestrado e doutorado. E também abrir as portas do ConvergeLab para receber também vocês num processo de sanduíche, num processo também de pesquisador residente, enfim, seria, acho que um início de um processo que poderia crescer para uma outra perspectiva. E como viabilizar isso? Desculpa.
So now I wanted to talk how we can collaborate to make business like this and research like this actually reach the market and improve also the quality of the students that we create so that they can talk both with the research aspect and with the investors and the private sector. We were thinking about visiting researchers and fellows, co-supervisors and undergraduate. That is what I'm doing with Malu and what I'm doing with Filipe to explore more this deep tech area that is kind of rare to find someone that is working on it, but it's definitely an area that is growing so much right now, and we need to have this in universities too. Malu's example, now this I'm talking for myself. I studied in the US, and the reason why is because my university has created an integrated sciences department, and this is actually the name of my scholarship. And I can see there in the US that they have this focus now of bringing this people who are bridging science and society to work on those global problems and to help the research that they're conducting in other departments to generate revenue, not only for the university, but for companies that they want to create in the future. So this is something that Ronaldo is also trying to do at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, and something that he thinks is working really well here. I see that is working really well in the United States. And I wanted to bring also this vision for the UK, since you are also a leader in technological development and innovation.
Ok. Bom, eu queria destacar aqui a Aline, né? A Aline, ela não pôde participar, ela está com um bebê de 2 meses, né? Então, enfim, ela pediu desculpas pela falta dela, ausência dela no evento, mas hoje de manhã ela me passou essa oportunidade, né? Uma oportunidade que pode, talvez, viabilizar esse tipo de colaboração. Posso passar o link para vocês, mas basicamente, pelo que eu entendi, é a viabilizar recursos de atração de talentos forâneos, né, fora de UK, para dentro de UK, em projetos que têm muita aderência no que a gente conversou aqui agora. Deep Tech, são muito focados nos desafios, nos grandes challenges britânicos.
Now, I also wanted to apologize because Aline couldn't come today for personal reasons. However, she did send us a really good opportunity of funding from the UK to actually work in these kind of projects. This funding, as we looked at, is the funding for organizations, especially universities, to bring international researchers to collaborate in projects like deep techs, and they have a couple of other departments, but all integrated with science and innovation and technology. And we thought it would be a good opportunity for everyone who's in the event to take a look and maybe see if it's interesting. We can also share the link in the chat if you all want to access and read more about it. So that's her collaboration since she couldn't come, but she said that she really wanted to be here today with us.
Bom, 11h50.
Also, thank you all very much for being here, for joining us. And we would like to open the floor for some questions too, if there are any. If all the questions.
I will start. Thank you, Malu and Ronaldo, for the very detailed and good presentation, really setting the scene in terms of, I think, the overlap element that I brought up in the beginning, where this network of people that are taking place, well, already makes CIMR what it is, and then see what you guys are doing with ConvergeLab and already the connections, not just with the Federal University of Rio, but with the network of other universities across the Brazilian territory, with the industry labs, but then also this international possibility. And then especially your last slide is really good because I think really sets the scene for what I would like to propose, that is an open conversation and discussions here with questions, of course, to clarify any points from your presentations, but really start to plant some other seeds among this group and then see how we can further collaborate. I will start with one question, and then I'd like to open to the floor to the participants to actually also ask some questions or bring some points for the discussions. But well, the project and the startup pipeline that you presented with that initial opportunities by ConvergeLab demonstrate this clear focus on not just what can be built in Brazil, but how this connects to the international market and then bring the deep tech ventures to the UK, Europe, or connecting to the US now that there is this network established. But within the ConvergeLab program, is there any initiative or strategy aimed on operating in a bilateral model? How do you see this accelerating into international collaboration, for instance, between Brazil and the UK?
Yes, já entendi. Filipe, thank you pela pergunta, obrigado pela pergunta. Nesse momento, a gente não colocou na apresentação, nesse momento nós estamos, através de um edital do BNDES, FINEP, é um equivalente ao UKRI na Inglaterra, né? A gente tem recurso no Brasil para atração de empresas, para a criação de centros de P&D no Brasil. E no momento a gente está com uma empresa britânica chamada Holistic AI, é uma das maiores empresas do mundo na área de governança do IA, que exatamente está nesse processo de bilateral, né, ao contrário, né, de trazer esse centro de P&D para o Brasil, dadas as oportunidades que o Brasil oferece, dado também ao fomento que está sendo oferecido para as empresas estrangeiras. Então, esse é um exemplo. Tem outros exemplos que eu não posso divulgar, mas esse eu já posso adiantar e divulgar para vocês.
So we were actually thinking about putting this in the research too, but we decided not to last minute. But there is actually a UK company that is an AI company and governance. It's one of the biggest in the world that is bringing to Brazil a research and development center. And that's how we're working with ConvergeLab to help them bring this whole research center from the UK. And they also had a company in California, and they wanted to migrate the company from California to Rio de Janeiro because of all the incentives, and we're helping them on getting public funding for this. That is the equivalent to the UKRI, the UKRI, but from Brazil. And this is also a type of work that we do, not only with venture building, but also from supporting researchers and companies from abroad to come here, and then companies and researchers from Brazil to go abroad. So yeah, it's bilateral, it goes both ways.
É importante destacar que esse grant, esse recurso, também é focado em atender missão. A missão que a gente listou, 6 missões da indústria brasileira, né?
It's important to also have in mind that these grants that we're able to get are also focused on attending the missions on so the missions that we talked about, the one we had in Brazil and the great challenges in the UK. All these projects that we want to bring here need to follow those guidelines and to be working on a project that solved one of those problems.
Just as a quick follow-up on this question, and what you're referring is to the new Brazilian program to attract R&D centers to Brazil, international R&D centers to Brazil, and then that's where the BNDES, the Bank of Development in Brazil, and then the FINEP are joining forces to do so, and then you guys are helping this to happen. And then the participants here, the universities, and then the collaborators of the CIMR, potentially they can join this research center effort once this is taking place, or if takes place in Brazil?
Ele está perguntando se, por exemplo, o pessoal do CIMR pode se juntar em projetos como o do projeto de P&D.
Sim.
Pode.
Muito importante a sua pergunta, porque a área de gestão no Brasil, nós temos universidades excelentes, como a COPEAD, a Fundação da Cabral, enfim, são instituições da área de gestão excelentes no Brasil. O problema é que eles não têm muita habilidade, vou ser muito sincero, com empresas de techs. Eles não têm muita competência, tem muita competência na área corporativa, né, nessa grandes empresas, né? Eles estão querendo aprender ainda a entrar nesse mercado de assistência, né, de pesquisa na área especificamente de techs. E é muito bem-vindo, né, essa experiência do CMI, porque você, na verdade, está transferindo conhecimento também para o Brasil e criar competências daqui, que vocês, naturalmente, têm um ecossistema muito mais maduro, mais robusto, e que a gente precisa aprender. Isso. Perfeita essa relação.
So yes, definitely. If you all are more than welcome to join any program that you all have interest. The only problem that we have in bringing companies here is that some of the institutions who are able to give the fundings, they don't have a lot of experience with deep techs. And this is actually our role in ConvergeLab, to guide both sides, to translate what we're doing in academia to what has to be funded and what is being funded, so that the researcher knows all the steps that they have to take. And it would be more than a pleasure to have anyone from the CIMR or Birkbeck to come in one of those projects, because you all have more of a maturity, technological maturity developed in the UK, and we would definitely be able to learn a lot from you too.
Any other question?
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello.
Well, thank you first of all, and it was pleasure meeting all of you and joining this meetup. Great learning for me, I will say. I'm a prospective student at Birkbeck, and when it comes to my experience, I have 20 years of experience in IT, and especially in a SaaS product development, and worked as a product manager or project manager or IT service manager in various companies. I was in the Netherlands, France, and also Germany, and majority of my professional background was more of a execution of the things, more on the technology side. And that's where now I'm looking forward to stop my taking kind of pause on execution towards research. And I was curious and to understand that how the research, at what level the research and the institutions and the companies are. And I'm really happy to listen, especially I will say Ronaldo, Pedro from your side, that the level of research where Brazil is doing well. I was not aware of. I did a lot of research, especially for UK, in terms of policies and innovation and supporting students and academic and all, but not especially Brazil. So great to hear the lot of information, especially the programs where you are supporting promoting the programs and supporting the students. My question is definitely because I was in the US for 3 months last year in 2023, and I attended a lot of startups, especially in the area of deep tech, because my interest is more on AI. What, especially at this stage, if I ask, my question is that whether or which domain is contributing more towards deep tech? Is it AI or still some traditional way of pushing and resolving the challenges? I mean, what level of AI?
A pergunta geral seria qual domínio que está contribuindo mais com o cenário de deep tech? Se é AI, é um outro domínio? Que está colaborando mais?
Bem. A AI está ajudando a acelerar domínios da área de biotecnologia, por exemplo. Então, eu acho que o AI é uma força motriz para soluções que são feitas na bancada do laboratório de nanotecnologia e biotecnologia. E ele tem sido como a internet foi, um grande acelerador desse processo. Então, eu diria que não existe uma área prioritária, mas existe essa combinação necessária de convergência.
I believe there isn't a prioritary area. The key for deep techs is the collaboration between all areas. So, for example, AI is definitely speeding up a lot of process in biology, in chemistry, and as we were talking about in medications discoveries, for example. Definitely AI has its big collaborations, but it's important to have in mind that for it to be a deep tech, it has to be acclimated, or it has to be collaborating with STEM areas such as physics, biology, chemistry, and that's the key for accelerating all this process.
Nesse contexto, o que recebe mais investimento é a indústria de medicamento. Sem dúvida, o medicamento é o prioritário no momento.
And in this context, the industry who's receiving more funding is definitely the medication, the pharmaceutical industry. It's the one who is more able to get the fundings, and that's how AI can collaborate by speeding up the discovery of medicines and for making them safer.
Okay, and this, thank you for responding. And this, the ConvergeLab, which you are leading, is it only collaborating with the institutions, or also directly with the companies, or also, let's say, people in terms of getting this opportunity?
E o ConvergeLab, ele trabalha só ajudando pesquisadores, só pessoas, ou também ajuda companhias?
A ConvergeLab está interessada em spin-off da universidade ou spin-off da indústria. O importante é que tenha uma bagagem científica, né? Então, pode ser um spin-off da indústria, pode ser um spin-off do meio acadêmico.
ConvergeLab is more interested in spin-offs. So, for example, it can be from the academia, from universities, or from companies. That's our focus right now. But yeah, we can definitely work with individuals, researchers who have an idea, even with the consulting part. Maybe they don't want to build a whole company, but they want support in what they already have. We also offer this kind of support.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Helen?
Yes, fascinating presentation. Really interesting.
Yeah.
It's a multi-layer set of possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So I come in as an academic researcher, very interested in the policy angle, and I know that Filipe, for his PhD, is looking at policy angle. One of the things I noticed that you do, Malo, that you're a STEM policy communicator.
Yes.
And I was fascinated by the areas where there's most collaboration with the universities in Brazil, and bioscience, biotech was one of them. Mm-hmm. And I did wonder, as a starting point, whether there was a prospect of doing a review paper looking at particular areas of policy and where the universities fit into it, just to establish a bridge between the academic researchers in Brazil and those in CIMR. Because some of the other things you put up, what Aline had sent about the UKRI, and that's a big step, and that would require quite a lot of organisation. But I think I'd be very keen to see something fairly low level, high quality, but something quicker than that, just to keep the ball rolling, keep us communicating. Can you tell me what you do as a STEM policy communicator?
Yeah, definitely. So as I started working with UNESCO, I started because actually of my communication channel in Brazil that I talked about science and everything. And then I had this collaboration with UNESCO for Women in Science Prize, UNESCO and L'Oreal, that I started in Brazil. And then I moved to UNESCO's headquarters in Paris. And then there I got involved with the Natural Sciences Department and did some work with AI regulations because I had a paper in my college that I was writing about the ethics of AI and data annotation. So how we can make sure that, okay, we're developing AI, we're developing this amazing technology that is helping the world, but who are the people who are behind this process that are annotating data? How are they getting paid? Are they getting exploited? And what's the consequences? What are the consequences of environmental impact, for example? So this is how I got involved with UNESCO in those kind of projects. And then while I was there, they basically carried me all over the Natural Sciences Department. And I also worked with gender equality in science. So how we can develop more policies to make sure we have more women and not only in the laboratories, but creating startups and being active in the market. And we have an ecosystem in the STEM field. So this is definitely an area that I have a lot of passion about. I came from the public school and I came from a scenario where science was not very accessible. It was pretty hard to have access to a laboratory. My school was tiny, like in the middle of nowhere in Brazil. So for me to make science, I had to move to São Paulo. I had to see opportunities in another country. And that's why I also got interested in science policy, because I want to make sure I bring all of this knowledge that I'm acquiring, not only in the United States, but in Europe with my work with UNESCO and probably in the future in the UK to improve how science is developed in Brazil and bring all this knowledge that we're creating in the academia, because we have a lot of really good researchers here and really good public institutions to make sure we kind of replicate the same process that is happening in developed countries in Brazil. And I think policy is the key for it, for regulating and make sure this is accessible. And besides the social aspect, also with ConvergeLab, I work analyzing the regulations for medications and to make sure that everyone has access to safe medication. They're not only being sold to the public because the company needs to make money. We actually want to create impact and security.
I think that's great. I think that there's a lot of themes coming out of there. Equality, diversity, inclusion is a very strong theme within CIMR. So I'm sure that my colleagues there, I think Federica was here. She's also the deputy director. I'm not sure whether she's still on the line, but she has a great interest in knowledge transfer. And Marion has a very varied interest, and so is Thanos. Marion, do you see scope for collaboration?
But just to your point, Helen, sorry, Marion, before you want to the areas of interest, that's your suggestion was something that we have been discussing internally with Ronaldo and Manu, exactly how we build steps into moving to strengthening this collaboration between initiatives that's happening and leading by Ronaldo, and then potential collaboration in publications and see what papers and things could be done in terms of mutual interest, especially around, and then my interest in policy plays a role there as well. But again, I think parties exactly matching where are those areas of interest around these thematics. So just to say that this is part of what we discussed.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Yes. Did you want me to say something? Helen? I think it was a really, really fascinating talk, and I think the angle that you chose, Helen, is a good way forward to try to keep the ball rolling. and to see if the collaboration can flourish through more interactions between the two, between CMIR and you. I have to be honest, I didn't attend this meeting with the mindset of looking towards stronger collaborations and links between the two, our two organizations. So I don't have any concrete ideas, but there's a lot of food of thoughts in what you put on the, what we've discussed so far. And I will for sure take this with me and share with Helen and Filipe any thoughts, further thoughts that I have. But I think maybe a joint research paper is one. Of course, we have these debates in public policy of where we could maybe try a different one with a different angle, other practitioners in the room to exchange experiences. So that might be interesting.
Yes, definitely. And I think the key here, especially with all the work that Birkbeck and CIMR is doing, is to see what's going on around the world and what are the priorities of each country and each institutions, so that we can have a better guidance, not only in Brazil, but also if we're collaborating across countries and in the UK, for example. So it's really great to know that you all have pretty big international collaboration, as I can see with the people that are joining us today. And it's incredible to see all the work you all are doing to collaborate with research and to develop, as Helen was saying, even policies that implicates in this world that we're trying to improve. So thank you.
Thank you.
And tem alguma coisa que você quer perguntar para eles? Você quer falar?
Acho que não, acho que tem o Linda que quer falar, parece.
Okay.
Falar, cadê o câmera?
No. Are there any other questions?
Mas a Poliana ali, quer falar? Poliana? Poliana é a nossa nova pesquisadora.
Poliana is our new researcher.
No. Hello, everybody. No, thank you. It was a really great presentation. I'm good. So you can do.
No worries. Thanks for coming.
Estou satisfeito.
Well, if there is no further questions for now, I think we do have a next step, and then I think that is find this new shorter step around what could be a collaboration research paper that we could put together around these thematics and then policy, and then looking in this in Brazil. I think that would be a great first step. Definitely would serve as a solid base to build on top of all the things that we brought up. And then there is the element that is happening, that is called for the idea of ConvergeLab, that is this connection of different people and organization as CMR also have. So I think that this is already a good tick in the box in terms of what would be a good objective for this initial engagement. Helen, Marion, and then the rest of CMR team, I'm happy for us to discuss also internally and think about other ways to collaborate. And then I can give a bit more context. I just came from Brazil. I did an immersion with Ronaldo and Malu there for 2 weeks. I'm helping with another project with NanoBusiness. So yeah, there is lots of other elements that was discussed around this umbrella of ConvergeLab, and then the potential engagement around research, and then a bit more next step, and then proper engagement with the industry.
Yes, thank you. And of course, Adil's got interest in internationalization, so there are many themes that overlapped, and Thanos' interest in different kinds of innovation. I'm sure that we could put together a portfolio of our interest. And Sailesh, so you're going to join us as a student, are you?
Yes, I am prospective and I have applied for, and I'm waiting for the opportunity to join Birkbeck. Yes, Helen.
Well, that will be very good. So thank you very much for joining us, and thank you, Malu, for your own presentation and the translation. Thank you, Ronaldo. That was really interesting. Thank you for all the work you've done in presenting this wonderful material and possibilities. This, and thank you for Pollyanna and Camille for joining us, and thank you, Filipe, for sharing. It's a brilliant job, and of course we'll see you next week, won't we?
Yes, we will.
As part of the academic process, you're wearing a different hat next week,
Yes.
so we'll see how you're getting on. But yes, so very enjoyable. Lots of strands to take forward, and thank you, Thanos. And we'll be in touch, and we'll do a blog, and we'll try and synthesize the major themes that have come out of this. And thank you, Gabby, for organizing it. So thank you, everybody. It's been a lot of fun and very knowledge intensive as well. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Ronaldo. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Filipe. Nice meeting, Filipe.
Bye-bye.
Agradecer a todos que estão esperando vocês aqui no Rio de Janeiro.
I wanted to thank you all, and I'm waiting for you all in Rio if you ever want to come.
Yeah, well, yes, of course. We'd all love to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.